FatDag is a Weight Watchers leader in Indianapolis, Indiana. However, the views and opinions expressed during this podcast are his own. They do not represent the views of Weight Watchers. And now, here's your host and wingman, FatDag.
Cheers. I am your host, FatDag. You're listening to Wise Advice. My weight loss journey failed when I focused on how. It wasn't until I switched my focus to why that I truly transformed myself. Join the show on the web at fatdag.com and follow along on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, all at Wise Advice. Send in your comments, your questions, your celebrations. I'll include them as part of the show. But before we dive in, remember, when you're out of points, stop eating points. Hey, I'm honored to be your wingman as we walk through this journey together because I believe in you. Well, hello there. Welcome to episode 273 of Wise Advice. And things are changing around here. I'll tell you that right now. I am now officially retired from the Air Force, 27 years of service. Retired on my terms, which is the coolest thing ever. I'm really passionate right now about helping military members get their weight under control so they too can enjoy the benefits that retirement offer on their term, continuing to serve honorably. So the Operation FatDag plan is still going as planned. And so I've had some time right now to kind of reflect on that and kind of move the needle in the right direction. But one of the things that's happening right now is, I found myself with my intent to retire did not come with a permanent job on the back end. So now we're recording this in the middle of the afternoon, which is completely rare for us. It's not something we normally do. But a bunch of you are joining us on Facebook. Thank you for being there. And so now this episode, of course, is in the app. If you're hearing it, you're going to hear it in the app when it gets released. But before we get in there, I want to talk a little bit about a couple things going on. Like I said, the Operation FatDag plan's moving quite well. OperationFatDag.org. If you're in the military, currently serving, struggling with your height and your weight, the height thing we can't change, the weight we can work on. But go to OperationFatDag.org. Reach out. Let me know how I can help. Interested in hearing your story there as well. The other thing that's kind of interesting is I get to New York quite frequently, and my last trip there, I sat down with a good friend of mine. She is the content director for Withings, and so you probably see me talking about the smart scale, the blood pressure monitor, and the blood pressure cuff. I use their scale. I wear their activity tracker. It's a company called Withings, and so Susie is like I said, she's a content manager for that. And so we sat down, had a great conversation over lunch. We walked all over over dinner, walked all over the city. And she just let me know it's been 10 years since this company is releasing. It's the scale I use every day. I check my weight every single morning just to kind of keep an eye. It does auto tweet if you want it to. You have to do a little bit of finagling to get it there, but I've set that up so that it does. I currently have it turned off because I'm working on a different plan. We'll talk about that later. But I was very clear that Withings helped me a lot in this journey. Weight Watchers was a big instrumental piece to that. Withings was the other one. And so about 2 years ago, they put me on their blog in Withings. And if you go in their app, every once in a while, you'll see my story in there. But the coolest thing is they listen to the podcast and they like hearing the stories that we share on the podcast. And so when I talked to Susie, she's like, I love what you've done to this community. You've enabled people to have a voice and you've empowered them. And that's what makes this whole thing work. And so one of the things that we talked about is a lot of you guys are also now using Withings products as well. You're using the scales, you're using the smart trackers, you're using the blood pressure cuffs. And so we want to do a thing where let's make you famous. Let's give you 15 minutes of fame. If you're using a Withings product and you're using either a step tracker or using the scale and it's helping you in your goals, Withings wants to know about it. And they want to share your stories on their blog and kind of share the story. So they kind of set up a special email address. It's fatdag@withings.com, FATDAG at WITHINGS.com. So go ahead and send in a personal testimony of hey, I'm using the scale, I'm using the step tracker. It's really working for me. I'm keeping track of my health. You don't need to be at your after photo. You don't need to be at goal. You just need to be someone who's concerned about your health. And if you're doing that and then you tell them how it's being used, they're going to pick 3 people and they're going to send them an email. They're going to send them a special prize. They're going to either send you an activity watch or I'm trying to read the details here. It says, they want you to write in so they can share it and then reward you back as well. So if you use the stuff and it's helped you lose a ton of weight or get your blood pressure under control or just move more right into them, let them know. It's at FatDag, FATDAG, at Withings.com, WITHINGS.com. And they'll share the letters with me as well, so we'll kind of probably feature them on the podcast as well. Hey, and if you're currently not using a Withings product, that's fine too. They've given us a special code called WatchDog20. Sorry, WatchDag20, WATCHDAG 20 will give you 20% off of a step tracker in the Withings store. So just wanted to share that with you. I think it's very, very cool. The concept is we want to get your story out there as well, maybe be featured on their blog, which is kind of a big deal. So anyway, shoot the email in, fatdag@withings.com. Cool. Let's get into this episode 273. The first email comes in from Marilyn out of Cranberry Lake, New York. She says, "Hey, Mike, I made Lifetime again about 2 years ago, down 28 pounds. Now I'm back up about 20. I'm discouraged, disheartened, and completely out of control. We had WW at a town about 14 miles away. I live in the mountains of New York State. I was enthused, focused, and I lost at almost every weigh-in. They closed WW here because of the numbers. There weren't enough people. Now my nearest meeting is a little over an hour away. It's a nighttime meeting, so that's hard to attend in the winter as their days are so much shorter. I do weigh in once a month, but I'm paying at each weigh-in. I've lost the focus. I feel terribly discouraged. I need to attend a weekly meeting, but logistically, I cannot do it. I love your podcast and was listening to them each time I walked. Now, I don't even walk that much as the roads are icy much of the time. I don't especially like the treadmill, but the biggest problem is that I've lost the focus. How do I get that back? Thank you for what you do and your service to this great country, Marilyn." So, Marilyn, obviously it's been a while since you sent this in because it is not icy anywhere where we are. So here's what I want to kind of reach out to you is that I jokingly say this often. There is no such thing as bad weather when it comes to exercise. There's simply bad clothing choices for the current conditions. So whether it's raining, whether it's snowing, whether it's icy, if you had a chore to do that required your full attention, you would dress appropriately, you would get out there and you would go do it. It's kind of interesting in that sense, like, we don't wait till spring to shovel our driveway in the winter. We say, I have to go out and do it. So we dress appropriately for that activity. We spend 20, 30 minutes outside. So we can certainly get outside and do some activity. Now, I just want to point that out, but I want to also dig into where you're at in your journey. And you did a great job. You clearly, lost 28 pounds, phenomenal work. You cannot do that on accident. You picked up about 20 along the way. So here's what I recognize in your email that I see from a lot of people, including myself, as we go through this process, is that we can get really focused on the journey. We can push everything aside and say, I am doing this no matter what. And then when we're in that mindset, nothing gets in our way. A meeting 14 miles away, no big deal. A meeting an hour away, no big deal. A meeting wherever, I don't care. If you're focused and locked in and this is your number one priority, you'll do whatever it takes to get there. A lot of people have a lot of great success getting there. Then what happens is we get there and we now have to juggle a different number one priority. Something else in our life takes a priority or is equally as a priority. And we then have to figure out, how do I balance the two of them? So what happens is we push all of our focus to whatever else is going on, and the focus we use to lose weight and get healthy suddenly becomes, a secondary thing. Well, that is a recipe for not exactly getting it done. But so here is where I want to give you the opportunity to regroup. So what happens is you're going once a month, you're weighing in, so mentally you're still engaged in the process. That's a huge victory. I want you to celebrate that first and foremost, that, hey, I am still going once a month. Incredible opportunity. Now what I want you to do is look at, okay, now knowing that once a month isn't exactly doing it, how do I increase the level of participation between once a month? Certainly, a meeting an hour away makes it difficult, especially in the evenings, especially with a work schedule, especially with a life busy schedule. But I want you to start working on what we continue to talk about are the attendance goals. Find something that reminds you every single day what the goal is. I don't care if it's you wake up in the morning and you write in your journal, you say, hey, today is the day I'm going to track. Today is the day I'm going to stop eating points when I'm out of points. Today is the day I'm going to get a 2-mile walk in. You write that down every single morning. You hold yourself accountable. You do it. You find a way to get yourself reminded once a day to do this. Clearly, that was the intent when we started this podcast, was to give you a daily episode of motivation. And so we're ramping back up to make this a lot more consistent as it was, but we have 273 episodes. So go dig into some of the older ones every single morning, press play somewhere. Remind yourself what you're doing is hard work. What you're doing is important, but what you're doing is doable. Now, I got a couple emails behind yours that are very similar, so stick around because I want you to hear the rest of what I'm going to say in the other emails. I think a lot of it will make sense. But Marilyn, first and foremost, get rid of the discouragement. Just get rid of the disheartenment, and then just completely understand that you have the ability to do this. You did it before. You can do it again. It's just a matter of saying, okay, how do I balance my new life with my existing life and make it all work? A neighbor of yours out of Staten Island, Sharon, writes in, says, "Hey, Mike, Sharon here from Staten Island. I haven't written in a while, and I thought I would update you on my journey. I started WW in August of 2016 at 311.8 pounds. I reached goal August 2018 after losing 155 pounds. Yes, I lost 155 pounds. It wasn't easy. There were tears along the way. There were plateaus, unexpected gains, but I was the model Weight Watcher. All or nothing. I gave it my all for 2 years. You and the wingman were always there to help with the kind word and support. You reminded me how amazing my accomplishment was. Now here I am at Lifetime, and this is hard. All or nothing is not working for me anymore. I've managed to weigh in at Lifetime range each month, but not comfortably. It is always scary. I don't feel in control, and that is unsettling. My problem is not Monday through Friday. I meal prep for work and easily manage to be 100% during the week. But the weekends? Oh, the weekends. Binge is probably the right word to use. Forging rabid raccoon feels like an appropriate description. So I balloon up over the weekend, and I spend the rest of the week losing the weekend gain. Maybe this is my maintenance, and it would be fine, except I go back to the lack of feeling of control. I don't feel like I'm choosing it like I feel like actually it's choosing me. So I'm reading books about binging and trying to get a grip on this. So there was a suggestion about creating an unnegotiable food rules for myself. This seems like a good idea, but what should they be? I don't want to ban any specific food. Maybe never eat out of a box or a bag. Maybe everything has to be weighed no matter how much I'm eating. So I go around and around with what these rules should be, and I finally figured it out. You taught me this all along. The only rule I should ever need to own is WYOOPSEP. When you're out of points, stop eating points. So thank you again for reminding me that this does not have to be complicated, and it really can be just that simple. Sharon out of Staten Island. So Sharon, congratulations first, 155 pounds. Obviously, you know what I'm going to say there. A lot of amazing work, 2 years of intense focus. You did not do that by accident. You woke up every single morning and you said, I can do this, and you did. Yeah, I get it. Not easy. Tears, plateaus, gains, all of that is part of the journey. All of that taught you to be resilient in the fact that you set a goal, you worked hard towards it, and you did it. Congratulations. Congratulations on making Lifetime. And yeah, it is going to be hard because what happens now is you have to figure out that how great you feel is a feeling you want to feel for the rest of your life. But you also know, leading up to this point, you had probably a pretty amazing life as well. So we now have to give up on the amazing life that we had and understand that the amazing life we can have is going to be different. That's hard. It's hard for us to say, I know everything was, I get what life was like. It was good. But now I'm going to breach out into this unknown world and hope that it's better. So that becomes a challenge. And so in your specific journey, Monday through Friday, you have the structure in place where you're following the plan. When you're out of points, just stop eating points, and that's working for you. And the restriction that comes with that now shows up on Saturday afternoon, and you're like, okay, wait a minute. I'm going to have this or this. And Saturday and Sunday, you're kind of looking back at your old life going, this is how I used to eat. This is how I used to feel. And I can attest to the fact that there's a good chance that on Monday morning you wake up going, ugh. It's not a feeling that's comfortable. It's not a feeling we like, but it's a feeling that comes from 2 days of going, I don't care what I'm tracking. I don't care what I'm eating. So you're right. You spend all week just kind of erasing the gains that you gave up on the weekend. 2 days of not following the plan can easily take you 6 or 7 days consecutive to undo. So we have to now make the point where things that we now do in our life have to be natural. So I had this conversation with the folks in the Patreon group yesterday. We do a chat every single Monday at 3 o'clock Eastern with those who are patrons, and we had the chat about goal setting and to get into the point where we say, hey, I want to change my life. So the point now is we say, we're going to set a tiny little goal where we say, okay, this week I just want to focus on tracking. This week I just want to focus on this one thing. I don't need to create a rule so much around this. What I need to do is recognize that I can do this, and I need to take baby steps in the direction for which I want to go. So the example I gave is that, soda for me, I was a 12 soda a day kind of guy. I would drink soda for breakfast, soda for lunch, soda for dinner. I'd have soda on my nightstand. When I went to a restaurant and the waitress or waiter asked me what I wanted to drink, it was an automatic reaction for me to say Coke. And if they said we don't have Coke, automatically Pepsi. It was not even I didn't even have to think about it. I could be playing on my phone. I could be texting. I could be reading the menu. I would not even have to look at the waiter or waitress, and they would say, what would you like to drink? Coke. It was so automatic in my life that my family knew if I wasn't at the table when the waiter or waitress came up, they would order the Coke for me. So here's what had to happen. I had to change my automatic response. My automatic response was to order the Coke. So it took me a good year or so to change that auto response from Coke to water. And so what happened is the first couple times I looked at my daughter, you'll laugh at this. I looked at my daughter and said, hey, Megan, I need some help. I set a goal, no soda for this week. And so I need your help. If we go somewhere and I order a soda, I need you have permission to look at the waiter and waitress and say, hey, actually, my dad really wants a water. And he meant for me to tell you that. If you do that, I will give you $1. So I had the embarrassment and I had the financial implication of making the wrong decision, right? So it took 1 or 2 times. We're at a restaurant and they come over and say, what would you like to drink? I said, Coke. My daughter looks at me and says, Dad, what you meant to say was water. I'm like, oh, that's right. And it didn't take long for me to then, the next couple times, be conscious about the question. The next time they came over, they said, Mike, what would you like to drink? I said, water, begrudgingly. And slowly but surely, I kept saying it, and I kept saying it, and I kept saying it. Now what happens is when I walk into a restaurant, it's an automatic response from me to say, I want a water. Hey, Mike, what would you like to drink? Water. Well, can I get something to drink? A water would be great. No lemon, and so same thing. If I'm not at the dinner table, my family knows when it's time to order drinks, water. The reason I share all that with you is that you have to get to the point in your journey where things that support your lifestyle are automatic. So the transition from goal lifetime to a long-term maintenance requires us to take things in our life that are consistently things that we consistently do that don't align with our goal and modify them. So if you are a soda drinker and you want to stop and you want to switch to water, you have to get to the point where it's automatic. If you are a snacker at midnight, you have to get to the point where the automatic response is a piece of fruit. And so it'll take some time for you to get there, but you have to develop automatic habits that support your lifestyle. You have automatic habits now. There are things you do every single day. There are things you do multiple times a week that you do out of habit. Kind of like driving home from work. You hop in the car and you're 5 miles down the road before you even realize you took 4 exits and 4 right turns. You have no idea what you're doing, but you know the way home. What I need you to understand and do now is find your way home automatically. And that takes some time. That absolutely is hard. That will lead to some tears being shed. It will lead to the scale fluctuating. But what the long-term result is that automatically you're making decisions that support the new lifestyle. So what I need you to do is look for things you do automatically that aren't exactly helping you. If you go to your favorite restaurant and your automatic response is to order the burger, I need you to painfully make the adjustment to the chicken or whatever it is that you deem is going to be better for you in that opportunity. Change your automatic response. Put this entire journey on autopilot. And at that point, you don't have to think about it. Things just happen. And then when we say it wasn't easy, well, no, the transition isn't going to be easy, but the long-term results are. If you write down everything, if you look up the points ahead of time and you track everything honestly and accurately and you stop hitting points when you're out of points, that is the roadmap. I don't believe you need any other rules on top of that. I don't believe you need the rule of I can't have this. There is nothing that is off limits in this journey. The problem is that the thing that happens is when you start making healthier decisions, things that you used to love and crave, you have permission now to have them, but you will slowly make the decision you no longer want them because they do not support your goal. In addition, is the auto response you have along the way eliminates them from your journey anyways, and they slowly fade out of existence. I don't crave soda. I don't even look at it. It's not even an option in my life. It is not. But I'm telling you, I was 12 a day for 20 plus years to 0. You can do this. Let's walk together and let's get it done. Out of Mount Pleasant, Michigan, Joan writes in, says, "Hey, I've been on WW several times, but I always try to fix my life to match the program. I always had fruit and veggies on hand. I did weekly food plans. I ate things I didn't like. I made separate meals for me and my husband. I joined exercise classes, and it all seemed like so much work. I was successful, but life always managed to intrude eventually. I got too busy to shop and plan. I got tired of making 2 meals every evening. If I missed a few days of exercise, it felt like I had failed, so I quit. That's the formula of how I've lost the same 40 pounds many times over. This time, I'm doing it differently. My planning is more mental. I think about one day at a time. I think about choices that are reasonable, not perfect. I do more role-playing and playing the what-if game. I'm making a real effort to find out how the real me can make this work, not the part-time perfect me." Joan out of mid-Michigan. Joan, boy, if I could sum up that word or that paragraph you wrote, I would call it balance. Yes, absolutely, because you can do this one or two ways, and so you can go all in. You can get to the point where you're 100% focused and you dive in, and then at some point, if you can't stay there for life, you're going to start looking back the old in the mirror and saying, "I used to like this, I used to eat that," and you start craving those old things. But you are now way more mentally engaged. One day at a time, 1 meal at a time. Make the best choice in the current situation. That's all you can do, right? If you are a perfect planner and a perfect tracker and something all of a sudden changes your routine, you have to be able to, in the moment, go, the moment that I found myself in right now, I didn't plan for it, it's unexpected, but in this moment, what is the best choice I can make right now? And if the best choice you can make right now is to go crazy or whatever whatever your definition is, because that's the only option you had, then that's the option you had. You wake up in the morning, you get to the next meal, and you say, "Okay, we're doing this again." Being deliberate in the moment, choosing the best in the moment that you're in, is all any of us are ever asked to do. Think about this and go, the choices that I'm making, are they reasonable? We know, right? You don't have to be an accurate tracker. You can tell by the things that you're eating constantly whether or not you're going to have success or not. We know, right? And part of the reason we know that is we know it so well that when our brain tells us that we're not doing it well, we just quit putting it in the app. We quit tracking it. We quit doing all the things because our brain knows this doesn't really align with the plan, so therefore I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to log in and pretend. But what we need to do is say that that's okay in the moment. And so then we look back and say, okay, if this situation comes back again, how could I have acted differently? Way different conversation. You cannot plan for every single scenario that's out there. But what you can do is you can make the best decision in the moment. And then if that scenario comes up or something similar comes up like it, you can then go, how would I have acted differently if this comes around again? You don't even have to do it that day, but the next time it comes around, just do a little bit better and slowly adjust your entire life. Joan, congratulations on all the success that you've had. You clearly understand the concept. You understand the balanced mindset, and living happily, healthily balanced is exactly what we're after. So congratulations there. Out of Denver, Colorado, Marilyn writes in and says, "Hi, Mike. Hey, thank you for the many times you've explained attendance goals and performance goals. It helped me to reach a landmark in my WW journey. On May 16th, I have tracked every day for 2 years. Tracking is the tool that I value most in WW because it gives a structure that I need to have a great day every day. Without tracking, I was always in the what I call terminal vagueness. That's where I have constant guilt about what I just ate, anxiety about what I should eat, and worry that I'm never going to lose weight. All of that mental garbage is gone because of tracking. Tracking gave me the structure that I needed to make better choices. And that freed up my brain to solve my biggest life challenges. On May 16th, 2017, I walked into WW depressed with low self-esteem and 50 extra pounds. I was working in a job that I hated. I was in a relationship that sapped the life out of me. That single step of taking responsibility and walking into WW started a domino effect, and I began to take control of my life in all areas. As I was tracking, attending meetings, listening to your podcast, and learning how to make better food choices, I left my toxic job. I made boundaries with a family member that I had never made before. I gained clarity over a heartbreak that helped me heal from it. Gaining certainty and stepping out of these toxic relationships further freed up my energy and brain space to tackle another big issue in my life: money. The same lack of accountability and control I had with food was mirrored in the way that I handled money. I made a goal to get out of credit card debt, and I took the steps to make that happen. I paid off my credit card 2 months ago, and my new goal is to pay off my 2016 car. I have a plan to be completely debt-free in 10 months. WW has empowered me in ways I could never have imagined when I walked into my very first meeting. And I'm convinced that WW has given me the tools to handle more than just the food in my life. Being accountable by tracking translates to being aware of what I'm spending. Being aware of the negative thoughts that derail my ability to stay on plan correlates to noticing the negative thoughts that undermine my success at work. For me, overeating and overspending are about being a victim. It's about a feeling that I don't have power in the world, that I can't have the life that I really want. So I might as well eat and spend now, and that's nothing but a big, fat lie. I can do this. I can take the steps to change my life. Life may not go as I plan, but I have complete control over how I react to it. And that's the point of power we all have. Mike, I'm thrilled about your decision to retire and help the military tackle the challenge of obesity in the troops. You will do even greater things on your new journey. Thank you for your kindness and inspiration. Your podcast is one of the tools I rely on to stay focused. I wish you good focus. Sincerely, Marilyn out of Denver. Marilyn, what an amazing email. And the things that you've summed up in this are things that I've thought long and hard about before. When we get control in our life, it changes so much in the rest of our life. But I said this in an earlier episode. I talked about having the discipline to get this done. And I got beat up a while ago about it, saying, I don't like the term discipline. And I don't mean discipline as in, yelling at you and beating you up for doing it wrong. What I say discipline is if I stick to a goal and I work towards it, discipline brings freedom. Knowing that I can do whatever I want, but I'm disciplined enough to stick to the goal that I want long term gives me freedom in so many other ways. And you've found that when it comes to relationships and when it comes to your overall health and when it comes to, your finances, you've gained that certainty because you've figured out that I am in control here. So discipline brings control and it gives you the power. It gives you the control to completely change your life. I end every episode with, you have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. And so what I mean by that is set a goal, an attendance goal, preferably. Set an attendance goal. Every single morning, wake up on fire saying, I am going to do this. Find a way to remind yourself. I don't care what it is, but write it on your bathroom mirror. Use a dry erase marker. Type it in your phone. Text yourself the number. Set a reminder, your alarm clock, call it, get focused, whatever it is. But every single morning, remind yourself that you want to stay disciplined and focused and get it done. Congratulations on your amazing life transformation. And I'm glad you pointed out, I'm a fan of attendance goals and performance goals. And for those of you, just checking this out, the things I want to share with you is it does us no good, zero good to set a goal that is so hard to accomplish that we never actually get there. So the example I use is when we go to the gym, we set up, we go to a Navy SEAL cardio kickboxing workout, right? We're able to complete much of the workout, but we leave there so sore, so tired, so out of breath, so just beat up that we don't make it to class tomorrow. It takes us a month maybe to get back to the class. Instead, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the gym every single day this week. I want you to go to the gym every single day. And when I say go to the gym, all I'm saying is go to the parking lot. Pull in the parking lot every day this week. Next week, let's work on going inside. The week after, let's work on actually looking where the treadmill is. And before you know it, you've gone to the gym every single day this month. You have built the habit of going. Setting an attendance goal rather than a performance goal gives you permission to just do your best when you're there. If you set out to go, I want to walk a mile a day, and you come home from late from work one afternoon and you're running to your next meeting and you only have 20 minutes, well, it's going to be difficult to go walk that mile in the 20 minutes. But it doesn't mean you can't get out and walk for 10, right? And so if you did a 10-minute walk instead of your 1 mile walk, that tells your brain that, hey, when I come home from work, I do this. We don't have to put a distance on it. And a distance or a time is a performance goal. As you start doing attendance goals, and no matter what, you are out there every single day doing something, then you make the adjustment to go switch it to a performance goal. When you switch to a performance goal, performance being a time-based goal, with an actual hard deadline, when you make that decision to switch, never lose sight of the fact that the first priority is to just do something. As you continue to set goals and you start proving to yourself you can do this, you start completely changing your life. One of my favorite things to demonstrate is your to-do list. And so a lot of us do this. And so if you wake up in the morning on a whatever day it is and you're motivated, you're energized, it's the day where you go, okay, today I'm going to make it all happen. And what happens is you get up, and I'm going to exaggerate, but you get up in the morning and you start a load of laundry, and then you vacuum the kitchen or vacuum the living room, and then you mop the kitchen and you clean up the dishes. And then you go, this feels good. I'm going to make a list. And you start making a list of things else you want to do. The first thing you put on the list is laundry. The second thing you put on the list is mop the kitchen. The third thing you put on the list is vacuum the living room. And then you check them off, and then you add a fourth thing. Then you go to work on the fourth thing. The reason our brains do that is because we like having the feeling of I did something. I need that visual cue that I checked things off my list. In fact, they weren't on your list. You added them to your list after you'd already completed them. It's the same thing here in attendance goals. I want you to be able to every single morning check something off your list. Start every single day by accomplishing something. I don't care if it's a 2-second walk. I don't care if it's a five steps out the front door and 5 steps back. Every single day you have said, I woke up today and I did something for me. Check it off your list, add something else to it, and continue to rock your day. That's way different than waking up in the morning and going, well, I was supposed to go for a 20-mile bike ride, but I never made it. Right? Way different. Yeah, I was supposed to, I know I was supposed to go to the gym after work, but I'm tired. Right? But if your attendance goal was just a pull in the parking lot, you could tell yourself, I did this every day. Thanks for your email, Marilyn. I'm glad to be retired. It gives me time in the day to record these episodes. I'm going to start ramping up that. It's an amazing opportunity. My life has completely changed for the better. It sounds like yours has as well, because we can do this. Folks, this is a time to celebrate. We're in the middle of changing our lives, and we are doing something so awesome to ourselves, a gift that we can only give ourselves, and we have to have the discipline to do it. I want you to celebrate with me. Let's go ahead and share it on the air. Go to fatdag.com, click on the Wise Advice podcast, send in your celebrations, your comments, your questions. I'll work them in as part of the show. You know the deal. If you don't email in, there's nothing for me to talk about. This show is pretty much 100% you telling me what's going on in your life. We share it. We kind of push it back out. I tell you how awesome you are, and we send it back in. If things are going well, let me know. If things aren't going well, let me know. I bet you I can find the piece in there that tells you that you're doing well. I want you to email in the celebrations, because I actually want you to be proud of what you're doing. When you're proud of what you're doing, you will continue doing it. That pride feels good. Folks, that's going to do it for this time. Remember now that losing weight and getting healthy has nothing to do with luck. You have to remain disciplined and focused. Set your sights on your goal and go after it. I wish you could focus. Thank you for listening to the Wise Advice Podcast. Did you know for as little as $1 a month, you can take the next step as a wingman and support the show? Visit fatdag.com, click on Become a Patron today.